Hey everyone, it's Jimmy T. So, news is out from the state CFO. Doge is going into all the counties. Can I give you a suggestion? Go into every element of the counties. Don't just go to the county commission, go to every government entity. Look at the spending, look at the process. You know, when I was in office, I would see us spending on projects and I would question, was this a good spending deal? And quite often, yeah, it was. But every once in a while, you'd find us spending on things that we didn't really need to. So, one of the things I brought up during my time was that we were paving roads that nobody lived on. And I had talked to then County Administrator Randy Oliver and Jeff Rogers, who I believe was Public Works Department, and said, hey, can't you guys come up with a formula? And sure enough, Randy said no, but Jeff said yes. And they created a formula and that allowed us to stop spending on roads nobody lived on. And that's the thing. There is waste in government. It does need to be identified. Doge should come into that. Go into the school systems. Find out how much we have in the aspects of overhead. Now, I have to tell you, I do like how the current superintendent of schools has started to rework his government and trying to reduce the overall impact of having a large administration. But let's bring up some stuff and see if we can't find more and give that suggestions to the new administrator for him to implement and go through every single department. And yes, some people may be unhappy with some of the numbers, but the fact is we need to make sure the government that we are paying for is the most efficient. And admittedly, having been in government, I can tell you quite often you get blinded to what you're doing and whether it's effective and efficient. It's great to have the outside come in and take a look. Now, people say, we already have the clerk of courts. They come in and they do audits. No. They do audits to make sure the spending is within statutory requirements. This is completely different over whether it's good for the county or whether there's a real return on investment. So that's where I hope Doge will come into every county and every element of the county governments that we have. There should be nobody who is unafraid to have an outside look. And anybody who is, well, they shouldn't be in office, right? They're not nosing in our business. They're nosing in government business that is funded by us. And we should want to ensure that we have the absolute most effective, most efficient, and most transparent government possible at all levels and every department. So good luck to the new CFO, Blazengolia, and I hope you come into every single county across the state and find every dollar that is misspent so we can allocate it to the right areas or, more importantly, cut taxes. So good job on your intention to come in with Doge. One thing that I really want to bring up, and this is an aspect of government that scares the hell out of me, socialism. If you look at New York right now and the campaign by the candidate named Mamdani, he is offering government-run grocery stores, government free busing for all. They want to do away with private property and ensure that people have the ability to have houses no matter what. We've seen this action before. And for those of us who have been overseas, we've seen it far worse. But growing up in the 60s and 70s, you saw slums or government-run apartments. They're never the best. Now, don't get me wrong. Sometimes you have things like landlords that may not be the best landlords. But you know who's not the best landlord ever? The government. And the reason I bring this up is, first and foremost, you have socialists right here in this county. You have Democrats who are continuing to slip left, further and further left, into a false narrative of government can do everything for you. We just need to make the wealthy pay their fair share. That's idiotic. We have a county that is struggling. But taking more money from people to give to other people isn't the way to do it. The way to do it is to create economic opportunities. We're going to get into that in a minute. But the whole mindset of government doing for people is why you have people who have been ripping off the entitlement system. as a legislator, I passed legislation to prevent stores from holding EBT cards because they would hold groups of them and then simply cut 50% of what they got in those cards to the individuals for cash. And then the stores would take advantage of the other 50%. Gladly, that's now illegal in Florida. I'm very proud to have done that. And I did it because I grew up on the entitlement system. I grew up dirt poor. I was one of those families where there's a lot of kids and not a lot of food. And our family did all they can. And when they needed help, they got it. Hell, when I needed WIC, I got it. And then I got off of it, even though I had to fight them to do it. And it's okay to struggle is what we should teach families. And when you are overcome by that struggle, yes, we have a safety net system. But again, same thing with government. Every single dollar should go to real help. But, well, the new idea of socialism is don't worry about it. You shouldn't have any stress. There should be no worries in your life. And everybody should have a quality of life because we'll just take it from other people to ensure you do. It's never worked in any country around the world. And I had to tell you, I love the fact that they talk about how Sweden is a country to use as an example of all the social well that's going on, except for it's not going so good. They have 10% unemployment. It's almost impossible to fire anybody. So their work ethics have declined. There's so many problems in so many countries that are going down this social democrat, socialist, or communist path. So as we're watching New York do this, this is one of the reasons we should be asking for less government. Create an idea in a county to where we don't spend a dime if we don't earn it, where we are proud that we are not in need of government. And for those people who are ever taking advantage of government, they definitely do not need to be encouraged. They need to be discouraged. So as somebody who has been on the system, somebody who has fought to correct the system, I can tell you, if we go to socialism, this just blows the system up in favor of those who don't want to do things. But also, take a look at this picture of this socialist who are now trying to get their candidate to become the mayor of New York. That's right. They're still wearing masks, and they just do not look like somebody who can even run, I don't know, a hot dog cart, much less a business, much less a government. And yet, strange enough, their numbers are increasing. The young people have been convinced wrongly. This is a Republican form of government. And in that, yes, we want to have a say in our government. It's our job to earn the money, to get food on the table. And then the safety network is there to help in case we need it, not to ensure it when we don't. So let's talk about the economy. When you think about Citrus County, our economy is struggling. The numbers prove it. Why not send the economic development director to New York to start fishing in that pond or cesspool so we can maybe encourage their businesses to come down here? Yeah, of course, we have the interchange and some other opportunities down towards 98 and stuff like that. Bring some of these businesses into the area. Encourage them to come down here. Have them move to the airport, the Holder Industrial Park, something. But it's not in the plans. Now, how do you know that we don't care about economic development? Because look at this. That's right. The only thing this person is working on is tourism. Tourism is a good part of our county. I encourage tourism, always have. I love the fact that it allows people to have their dream of going out and being captains out there for tour guides and allowing people to come out and do scalloping, and the restaurants benefit and the hotels benefit. Great. But it cannot be the backbone of our county. The jobs that it provides, while they're good, are not great. We need to encourage true growth in this county. And why do I say that? Well, look at these numbers. We are not doing well for our youth. Our poverty rate is not getting better. We need to think differently. This is not where we're trying to go with this county. And I'll tell you, I had a great conversation with a friend today. Very long, very extensive, but incredible, great conversation. And he challenged me about why I'm against things like the impact fees and sales tax and things like that. And first and foremost, the reality is it's because there's no plan to increase the economic status of our county. There's not. And when you have only so much disposable income out there, and yes, as an example, sales tax would take money from those who visit, we're not seeing dramatic increase of those numbers to the point to where it can run our economy as much as people would hope, because we're not able to generate as much as people think we do. Because we don't have that disposable income. What we need to do is have a plan, start looking at our comprehensive plan, and look at our future land use map, and then look at our ordinances and start structuring this county to incentivize the growth of manufacturing. Because the truth is, manufacturing is one of the smallest portions of our economic demographic. We produce very little. We're a consumption, retail-based community that hopes that we can continue to grow in our population so we can continue to fund our taxes, which that's not a benefit because the more people means more cost to government. And then we have things like agriculture, which wonderful. I love what we're doing in agriculture, and we should protect it as much as we can. I know I've always supported it. And then we have our tourism. Again, good. But between agriculture, tourism, and retail restaurants, it's not enough. It doesn't provide a future. And we have to start thinking differently. But it doesn't start when we have things like county commissioners who don't even know what it is that we're really talking about when we're doing things like impact fees. Now, not all, but I can tell you there was a blatant demonstration of lack of knowledge on the issue of impact fees. And obviously, the commission did not get together or express their will. This is just part of the problem. No plan, no good paying jobs, an economy in our community that is not diverse, and basically a want for more money. And we're putting the want for more money ahead of those other aspects. Our elected officials, listen, having sat there, you try to make the best decision you can. You do. And it's never going to be perfect. It's going to be negative for some, positive for others. You're making half the people mad all the time. And I could tell you, people like me sometimes make more than half the people mad all the time. But the reality is, you need to start thinking differently. We, the citizens of Citrus County, or any other county that's listening to this, needs to think differently. Start asking for real plans. I can tell you, we have in our staff leadership less than stellar leadership. And I've been talking about that for years. You have a county attorney that is a land use attorney that doesn't seem to really want to see any growth in the county, just keep it as it is. And that prevents us from having any real jobs. And then you have a county administrator who might be a nice guy trying to do everything he technically can, but does he get the county? Is he making sure that the goals are set for the county? Because I can tell you, as much as he might be a nice guy and really smart, he should have been leading the conversation as well on developing a plan for this county when it came to the impact fees. How the hell did we get libraries as part of our impact fees, right? Where was that conversation led by him? Or did he say we needed libraries? Don't know. No plan, no conversation. This is the biggest thing I harp on. We have to stop doing government in this county the way we have. We are a very poor county. We do not have the resources or the ability to generate the resources as it has been run for decades. And I can tell you, yes, absolutely. The minute you start nudging things and making changes, man, they drive you out. Got it. Have the courage to be driven out. Have the courage to do the changes. Have the courage to say the things that need to be said. Have the courage to paint a vision. Citrus County is absolutely gorgeous, but a lack of planning has taken the town of Hernando that I loved and grew up in. I would go down there and we'd get candy from the store. We'd go out there and go playing in the lake. And it has just declined. Highway 41 has declined. And all of these things have happened because our county leaders pushed a lot of focus on growing Crystal River, and thank God for that. Lecanto area, Beverly Hills, good for that. But when we came up to a certain point, and this would be the last 20 years basically, we did not really focus in enough on changing our economy. So we need to think differently. We need to absolutely do everything we can to develop the plan, bring in good paying jobs, and then tax. Or if you're going to go out and support that tax, then you know what? Show us that you're taking the proactive steps. Show us that you're actually trying hard to do these other things. Again, I can't say this enough. Do not turn to staff and ask them to work on it. Do your own research. Tell staff what you want. But also involve the community, from the ability to go on the radio and talk about things. And I'll give you a little hint. In government, they'll tell you they can't talk about how they're going to vote on things. Hogwash. You can go onto radio and say, I am going to vote for X. And it's not in violation of the Sunshine Law because it's in public. You can write articles to the editor and have them put out there. And it's not a violation. You could literally say in an article, I am voting no on this when it comes up. And it is not a violation of the Sunshine Law. You know, I've done my research with the Florida First Amendment Foundation. We can actually have public debates through letters to editors, through radio interviews, where everybody has access to this in general. That's not a violation. Then we could actually hear not only that you have a plan, but what the plan is, what you're going to put on the agenda, what you want the other commissioners to vote for and why. But elected officials are taught upon getting elected, you can't say anything in public about the way you're going to vote. No. You just can't have any conversations directly outside of public with the individuals who will have to vote on that issue. You can't hold a private meeting. You can't hold a small group meeting unless either of those are publicly announced and allowed to have people attending them. So this is the thing. They get in there and they get told that. Then they get told it's not their job. Our government elected officials actually go to the Florida Association of Counties and get given classes on how to be a county commissioner. And I can tell you, when I went, I shook my head, because the truth is, no, that's classes on how to follow the bureaucratic instructions and the bureaucratic process. Has nothing to do with county commissioner and how to lead. Matter of fact, it's so funny that they give these certificates that teach you, that as they teach you, show that you pass classes on how to be a good county commissioner, but it's all focused on how you followed the bureaucratic system. It's not on how you showed initiative and leadership. Do you see the difference? They're actually getting taught from the day they come on as a county commissioner how not to be leaders in the county. I have to tell you, I think the world of our county commissioners in their want to do the right things, but I think they're completely different. And from a spectrum of 1 to 5, you have one that's a 1, and you have another one that I think is a 4.5, soon to be 5 if she keeps going and trying to ensure that she's providing leadership in this county. Now, the others, they're in between. So I got to tell you, I'm going to keep doing these videos, and I don't care if I got 2 people watching them or 10. But Citrus County needs to start having a real concerted effort, and citizens need to start truly challenging their elected officials to do more in the way of leadership. Plan it out, change the restrictions out there for businesses, and get us the things that we need to have in the way of breaking barriers. And then, if you need to come to us for more money, you've shown that you're also trying to put more money in our pockets so we can afford any increase. Again, Jimmy T.